Cindy and Bill and Julie, thank you for taking this long trek. You know, and Ho-Chunk people here and the people from LCO, thank you very much for having us here. I come from White Earth Reservation, Benisaquen, Jinnekas, Makwan, Rodin, and I represent an organization called Honor the Earth. I also represent my community, which is in the line and fire on these pipelines. And I have a couple of my staff that just came in. Theta's over there with some lovely young ladies who want to give the wave, and Corey, also from Honor the Earth, and there's some tough folks from a little further west of here. So I came out here to support these people because we have the same problem. My reservation is, you know, good land too, a very good land, and we have a lot of wild rice and lakes, and the proposed expansions would affect our territory. And the Enbridge company already has 6 lines through northern Minnesota, and they have some lines here in northern Wisconsin, and they want new lines because they want to expand. In our territory, they basically want to put 1.4 million barrels a day of new oil just next to our reservation. And we've been in about a 3-year battle going on 4 years. And they have got nowhere. They have got nowhere. They have tried many things. They have tried, and they've pushed a lot around the state of Minnesota. They've done a lot of that. They've been underwriting things like the governor's fishing opener, I believe, in Minnesota. Clever this year. But the tribes and northern Minnesota citizens have said no. You know, that's not going to work out for us. And I want to point out to everyone here, I think most of us know that the Keystone XL pipeline is not doing too well. And that is because of folks like us that stood up. You know, when nobody thought that anybody could stop a big company, some Nebraska ranchers and some native people and a lot of citizens said, no, that's not going to happen. And last week, the Canadian Court of Appeals said that Enbridge was not going to have its permits for the proposed Northern Gateway pipeline. And that's their $7.9 billion pipeline to the west. This expansion is their prize to the east. And they had their permits revoked because they did not consult with native people. And so what I want to say is that it is possible to stop bad projects. And it is time to stop bad projects. Because no oil company is entitled to our water. They are not entitled to our future, and that is basically what this company is saying. They're saying, we are Enbridge and we make life better. And that is not true. You know, they are not, that is not true. And so, you know, kind of in the course of our 3 years of battling, you know, we are going to be riding our horses again this year for the 4th year against the current of the oil that is proposed to come our way. But in our years of battling, we have seen a lot of things. But what we have also seen is that, you know, they believe that they got this, and we know that they don't. And they have sent out these 2 sets of Indian whisperers. We call them, they're called tribal relations specialists. We refer to them as Indian whisperers, and they have gone nowhere. Although they have done quite well in Canada because those are small tribes, small bands without running water and electricity, often in diesel power. And so they have been saying that they can, you know, they've been treating native people kind of on the side and shoving their way through. But when we met with the Indian whisperers and the Indian listener that they sent us, head of sustainability, we said we are not those tribes. We're big tribes, and we know how to fight. And we know what our extraterritorial treaty rights are, our ceded territory rights, and the, you know, the Voigt decision and the Mille Lacs decision, and now the 55 in Minnesota. All of us at this moment we are in, I agree with you, Mr. Barber, it's this moment that we are in, it's ours. Yeah. It's ours to do the right thing. You know, it's ours in this, you know, our prophecies, they talk about the choice between these 2 paths. One is well-worn and it is scorched. Enbridge's path is scorched. You know, and that is not the path that we are going to go on. And that is not the path that is for the future of any of us. You know, it will not bode well. And it is our moment to stop it. And as I think about, you know, what we are looking at, you know, there are a few things. One is, I would say a lot of this was about American hatred for Venezuela, to be honest. Because Venezuela is the largest oil reserves in the world. And when Hugo Chavez slammed his old shoe down there, right? Y'all remember this at the UN and said the devil was just here? Y'all remember this?
Yeah.
Things didn't go well for Venezuela since then. And there's been this war against Venezuela. And so they want to retool America's energy infrastructure to not get oil from there. And that's when this whole energy independence thing, which included Canada as like another state, came in. You know, so there's some political origins of this that have nothing to do with economics, have nothing to do with the easiest oil to get. You know, have to do with a lot of ego and a lot of bullying by America. You know, and so I just want to remember that because I'm not a fan of fossil fuels. I don't think any of us are. I've lived my entire life in the fossil fuel era, and what I want is kind of an elegant transition. I don't want to crash my way out with any more oil spills, and I don't want any more wars. I don't want any pipeline infrastructure that doesn't need to be there. What I wanted was kind of an elegant transition, and that is not what Enbridge is proposing. You know, so that is a little bit of the origins of it, and then we look where we are now, and you know, it doesn't take too much, just a little observation. And you know that the Saudis have dumped a lot of oil on the market, and they're going to continue to do so. While they pretended that the price of oil would justify these lines and justify production in the tar sands and in the Bakken is crashing. There are more lawsuits against oil companies out there than there are active wells. That would not be a reason to put in a new pipeline. And it does not look too good in the tar sands either, right? It is not looking good because the economy of it is not good. And what I know is the same thing that everybody in Wisconsin knows. Having watched y'all fight a lot of stupid projects, is the longer you fight them, the less likely it is that they are going to go ahead. You know, and that is what we know from seeing bad mining projects, like that proposal the Pinocchio's go down. You know, this is a little bit different because there's a lot of oil interests involved in it at the same time, so this is not going to be an easy battle. But what I know is that if you keep fighting, it doesn't work out for you. You know, and we are tied together. You know, because if we can keep the oil from getting to Superior, you're all going to be in a lot better shape over here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's why it's really important to look, you know, a little further west at what's not going to happen and work together to make sure that we all understand that these pipeline battles are not isolated battles. It's a whole network. It's a web, you know, or a set of snakes that, you know, go, you know, and I know that they can be stopped. And so, you know, keep that in mind, and then look to where we want to go. You know, in my meetings with Linda Cody, their sustainability expert, Enbridge's head of sustainability, which is kind of a funny crown to wear. You know, I've said many times, Linda, I do not understand what you're thinking. What is sustainability? You know, you have a $4 billion wind portfolio at Enbridge. If you're trying to put up $4 billion or $7 billion of wind instead of $7 billion of pipeline, we probably would like you a lot more.
Yeah.
You know, if you would do the right thing, we would like you a lot more. It's not like Enbridge does not have an understanding. And in fact, their CEO, Mr. Monaco, has said that in 2019 they want to diversify past the tar sands. Now my math is not that good, but I'm thinking that's 3 years from now. You know, so we would like to see an acceleration of that plan, the beyond tar sands plan. And that's, you know, I think what we have to say is Enbridge, your stock is not doing well. Your partnership with Marathon is increasingly going to be questioned. And you don't got a lot of oil being produced in the places that you want. So why don't you just move on? Become enlightened, you know? And that is what I think a lot of us are saying, is it's time to move on, you know, from the entitlement of oil companies. It's also time to move on, and I take a lot of encouragement from the Nebraska ranchers who said you cannot eminent domain our land for a Canadian corporation. Because someone needs to say that. You know, that is a very conservative position. But the question of why private corporations get to have eminent domain, and they are not even American corporations. They are limited liability corporations. You know, limited liability, recently organized. You know, that's a really a legal quandary that I think should be faced here in Wisconsin. Is why, you know, is this eminent domain issue. And so I just want to, you know, thank you for standing on this, and you know, as I was happy to ride on my broom over here. I wish it was a Tesla. It's not. You know? It's my father's Honda. It's quite old, but you know, it will get me into the, you know, into the next. And you know, I just want to be very grateful to Julie and Bill and all the Ho-Chunk and the other people who walked so far here, you know, to all of you. And you know, we join with you. And we join with you to not only defeat stupid ideas, but to envision where we're going. You know, because it is obviously essential. I would say in Wisconsin it is quite essential that y'all take leadership because your government is not. And for the tribal government here, we stand with you. You know, our tribes, every tribe. And the Dollar General decision that came down by the Supreme Court last week pointed out that if a corporation has a consensual agreement with the tribe, that they should abide by that agreement. And in some of our tribes, particularly Leech Lake and Fond du Lac, there were consensual agreements signed with Enbridge. And in those cases, those tribes are calling into question how much liability they should be carrying. You know, and so I'm happy to see you guys here and happy to be in your territory, but I think that this is a time, if any, for the Anishinaabe to really be united on saying no new pipeline infrastructure in our territory, because it is all our water. You know, it is all our territory, all our ancestors, and you know, we are descended from the same people. And this is the land the Creator gave us and did not give it to Enbridge. You know. So anyway, thank you all for being so awesome and hanging out in the woods. And I'm going for the 2 later on. I'm going.